Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so to me, walk in that position, and me as a practitioner, like I think it's so funny. Um, Nurses act a lot like they know what they're doing, and they like to pretend, but yeah, it's just not the case all the time. When you're dealing with practitioners that say always and never, I mean, it's never a good idea. Um, I'd be real uncomfortable. I'd be looking for guys like you, and I did. I mean,
Yeah.
we had long conversations, and
Yes, you came in the center to see your dad, like,
yeah,
frequently. That was before COVID and all that, so I should just
right.
say, but you and your brother came in a lot and sat with your dad, and then we had a lot of conversations,
Yeah,
and I think that
that's
has
another,
to happen.
and that was another thing. The dynamics of having the continuity of care. I know you'd always look to have dad, um,
Yes.
and it wasn't like that. Um, you two single handedly. I wouldn't say whistleblowers, but you were the bad cog in the whole thing.
Yeah.
Instead of being proud, and saying, "Hey, you guys, like, man, you really." I think this is important for people to know. Maybe they'd be a little bit more compliant.
Yes.
Um, s- so many times you see it that you just and it's the dynamics of where you work at Newark. I mean, it's a poor community, and so you do see a lot more non-compliance with. I mean, anything from diet. I mean, these people, y- you know, they
Well,
they probably been on the system.
they
Well, I
can't
know.
afford the foods that they need.
Right,
I mean,
right,
when you start talking about disability and you start saying, okay, you need to eat, lean meats and fruits and vegetables, and those things are very expensive.
right.
They can't afford those. And
Yep.
so they eat what they can afford, which just happens to be a bad thing for their kidneys. Usually it's high in sodium.
Yeah.
And so they're doomed. I mean, it's not their fault. By the time all of this stuff went on with me and your dad, and I got all that stuff down, and the doctor was actually listening a little bit.
Right.
Yes.
I got called in the office and they told me they figured out what I was doing. It took them a minute, but they figured it out. So they brought me in the office and they said, Maurice, you can't give more than 200 cc's of saline without asking a nurse. And so it was kind of like they just kept trying to figure out ways that they could belittle me.
Right.
But all they were doing was just making themselves run crazy, because I was going to do what I was going to do anyway, because I knew what was best for them. And so,
Yeah.
you know, I just kind of figured out a way. I just figured out a way to make it work within the dynamics of what they do. But by the end of it, I mean, they were treating me like I was someone who had less than a week of experience.
I
Um,
know, and you trained everyone in there. That's another
yeah,
thing.
Well,
well, yeah, I was a
You
preceptor for
did.
pretty much everybody in there.
Yeah.
it's
But
one
I
thing I
think,
wanted to comment on was the people that you trained, like Brooke.
mhm,
I mean, you was right. Brooke was intimidated by the nurses and shit, but
yes,
anyway, she did the best that she could,
yes.
and that nurse would say something to her, and uh, Brooke would look at me, and then she'd give me them high eyebrows, like, "Wow." But anyway, and then if do you remember Erica?
Yes, I do.
My God, she was an angel,
Yes,
and
yes.
and I'm sorry, I mean, she must have listened to you too much because she had a mind of her own,
She
and
did. She was
and
really a strong person. She did
yes,
really, really well.
right, and she told me everything. I mean,
Yes.
like,
You start
just
out
just
to,
doctor people. I mean,
yeah, you
Yeah,
had to
I'm blessed I
do
could
with good
I'm glad
bars,
I
but
could
remember?
well,
but
I'm
I
glad I could
know,
pass that on, right?
yeah, I'm glad you passed that on to Brooke. I'm sure that made her a better
That's good.
better tech and a better
Mhm.
nurse.
Yeah,
That's what
she's
she
going to
was
nursing
striving
school.
for.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's great.
really, really proud of you there, the way you
Oh, thank
influenced
you.
those two.
Thank you.
They kind of took over when you left off, but they didn't.
Right.
Erica went as far as quitting.
Yeah, yeah, she did.
She told me, she says they're going to kill somebody in here,
Yeah, she
and
left. She's
and
actually
she left.
at one of the other centers in Columbus now. So I
Oh,
know
is
who
she?
she is. Yeah, I know her parents. So
That's
just
great.
that's one of those things. By being in the same city and being in my hometown, I knew a lot of the people, so
Yeah.
I knew her parents, and so
Um,
But you did make me well, and you made me a
good,
stronger
good,
person
good,
for that.
good.
And it was,
If I could just save one, and if you're the one that I save, I mean, it was well worth everything, every minute of it.
well, from the day I walked in there, you made me comfortable. I
Good,
mean,
good.
when I came in, you started explaining what you was going to do, and and you started encouraging me, like saying, "Jeff, you're going to feel better." Uh,
Yep, I
you know,
remember. I
yeah.
remember. They tried to
And
foil it, but I wasn't having it. They were determined, but I was more determined.
So my question is, how do we affect change? Like, how do we take this dynamic and have that spread? I mean, already, Maurice is one person, but he does everything that he can do. And, we try to inspire others to inspire others, and try to pass it along. But systematically, is there something that anybody can think of that could help shift that?
I think
um,
this is a perfect example, right? What we did. I think this is a perfect example. I hope people see this. I hope technicians are empowered to stand up. I mean, you do need a little bit of experience to do that. I think that dynamically right now, because of COVID and everything that's went on, I think you have younger technicians in dialysis centers now, because all the people that were with experience like me, they left the industry. They were pushed out. And
yeah,
so, I think centers figure out, if I got young people and I mold them the way I want them to be, I don't have this dynamic that shows up. But it's going to show up because people care. When you are a dialysis technician, if you care about people, you're going to arrive at the same conclusions that I arrived at.
mm,
But you have to care.
right.
Um,
right.
it, it can't be just a job like you working at McDonald's and you just bring out the fries. No, you have to care about the people you take care of. And I think if that dynamic exists, then we get here.
Well, it's even like with peritoneal dialysis, like they celebrate and they do all this patient education and after they get done, I think it should be mandatory that, well, we need what we really need is uh blood pressure control. I mean, if you look at the patient populations, Native Americans, African Americans, but they're all the poor people
Yeah.
that suffer the most.
Yeah.
And because it's easy to pass a pill off, they don't, they teach nothing. Dad was exposed to Agent Orange, and
Wow.
you know, I think part of the reason he got a kidney is because he was a combat veteran, and
Hmm.
I think that probably played a role in it. But I mean, not only I mean for hemodialysis, there needs to be mandatory education that I don't think happens like it should, and
No.
there needs to be a standard set.
Yeah, it's too little, too late. I mean, we have
Right,
education programs, but they're not offered to people who aren't on dialysis yet.
right, and
Which,
that's where it should start.
yes, I mean, it should start at CKD, which is 60% kidney
Right,
function. It
yeah,
starts at 15%. I mean,
yeah,
we got a long way to go. There's a lot of percentages between there that we could be educating people and helping them understand what's happening to them. I know right now, me and I have talked about it. Patients can be put on the transplant list before they ever go into a dialysis center and have a treatment. But 99% of the patients don't know that.
right,
Well, that's
Um,
right,
that's true, Mo.
yeah, they just don't know. And so, that's why we're doing What's the Deal with Dialysis, so that people can ask those questions, so they can go away from these conversations and say, hey, you told me that I'm at 25% and you haven't even asked me about transplant.
right,
You haven't even asked me, do I have a family member that wants to give me a kidney? All you keep telling me is you want me to go to this center, this is the address, and this is the day I need to show up. And you don't even tell me what to expect.
right.
Absolutely.
And then there again, they get on dialysis, and it's all magic to them. They're hooked up to a machine. No one does any kind of education. They
No.
go home and eat pizza and do whatever. I mean, no one
Yeah.
is doing anything. And it is a factor, and it is a moneymaker. Unfortunately, in any industry, you know, an empty chair and ain't stuff in someone's pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. An
You
empty
know,
chair isn't making them any money. I tell you the other thing is, Mr. Butler, do you remember any training that the company would give you? I think we would pass out these pieces of paper and have you sign that you got the paper.
for
But
your labs and stuff.
yeah, but
Oh,
nobody would ever go over the paper with you. We just hand it to you and ask you to sign. Um,
absolutely. Unfortunately, I have a pretty smart wife, and like I say, my son's a nurse, and my wife would always look up the results, exactly what they were, and how I was doing.
right,
Uh,
right.
and
So
then,
then there's the answer. There's the answer.
But
We all
but
have
you
to
had to
be
get it
advocates.
yourself.
You had to
Yeah,
get it
your
yourself.
family has to be an advocate for you, and they have to protect.
absolutely, yeah, that's for sure. And I'm proud to call you family. I mean,
Yes, you are family, sir. Absolutely, absolutely. And you tell Mrs. Butler I said hello. I haven't
well, I
seen
was
her.
hoping she'd come out here and add to
Right,
this
right.
because,
Yeah,
yeah,
we always talked a lot, me and her as well.
yes,
When you were there,
uh,
she'd come pick you up, come in and sit with you for a while before we got you off the machine.
right. The nutritionist, the last one I had, uh, the first one and then the last one, uh, they was a real good help uh, at Davita in there.
Good, good, good,
But
good.
like I say, my wife always made sure that I, followed the diet. They'd hand out those brochures of what you should and shouldn't
Yeah,
be doing,
yes.
you know. And my wife, I mean, she even read the labels at the grocery store. She said
Absolutely. You
that's
have to. You have
yeah.
to.
She says that's why it always took her an hour more in the store because she had to read every label.
Well, it was well worth it. You see the outcome, right? You see the success that you're
Yes.
having, how you feel.
Uh,
All of that is a testimony to your family and to your sons,
um,
man.
I
It
sure
really,
appreciate you recommending me for the transplant.
yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
that one summer, I spent all summer going through the astronaut physical. That's what I called it
Yes.
for the kidney transplant.
Right, right.
Um,
That's about what it is. You got to go
you
to a
know,
bunch of appointments.
yeah, a bunch of appointments. You had to do the air chamber thing and the treadmill, and I
Yeah.
forget there was three or
Yeah.
four other
Chest
things I had to go through.
X-ray, dentist.
Right, dentist.
Yeah, all those
Um,
things.
yep, I had to have a root canal before I had the transplant. And,
Yep. I
uh,
know. They make you do a lot.
yep, I had a great dentist jump through hoops and make sure that was done.
Good. Good.
And well, all in all, like I say, it's been 2 years since the transplant.
Awesome.
Um, and then I figured, well, I'd be on a transplant list. They said 2 years.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
in December, they called me and told me that I was eligible for a transplant. Uh, in January, 4:30 in the morning, they called me
Wow.
and said, "We have a kidney for you."
Blessing, man. That's a blessing.
So they said, "Pack your bag and come on up." Well, I almost get to OSU hospital, and they called me back
Ah,
and said that the family had remorse about it and go home.
okay.
But it wasn't 2 months later they called me again, and
Yep. Yep.
so that was fast, Mo.
Good. Good. I'm glad.
Hey, I wanted to ask Kyra, um, how's your sis doing?
Yeah,
She's doing well. She's always been active. She's kind of a political activist, and she has 6 children and 10 grandchildren. And like she was on peritoneal, and she would go on trips. Like she went to Europe and had her fluid shipped, and she was very much an advocate for herself. Like she will do the research. She will stand up for herself. If somebody
Right.
pokes her wrong, she'll have switched out. Like she's that person, and so she's the one thing that she doesn't do is she doesn't slow down. So she needs to kind of slow down a little bit after having her transplant. But she's lost weight. She's very vibrant, and I appreciate you asking.
Did you see ups and downs with her? I mean, post transplant. I mean, as far as morale and did I do the right thing? Because I think there for a while, you're almost sicker than what you were on dialysis. And another thing with dialysis, you forge friendships, and you get used to seeing those people. And it was like a whole totally different lifestyle. I mean,
Right.
Ed one time told me he was bored not being at dialysis.
Right. You don't get to see
Yeah, it becomes
anybody.
part of your routine. Like for her though, because she was on peritoneal,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
she was at home and she did her own thing. And like
Yeah.
literally she came to visit me and she like grabbed the coat rack and put her bag up and like we sat and talked while she did her exchange. So she
I
was
see.
very
Yeah.
casual about it, and she wasn't trying to hide it. So that worked for her. It doesn't work for everyone. And so after her transplant, I mean, it's only been not
March.
even 2 months. It's only
Yeah.
it's recent. So
Yeah.
we did have right afterwards she had a minor thing that she had to go in for, but it's the compatibility. I forget how you,
Yeah, the kidney.
Rejection factor.
rejection factor,
Yeah.
and there's like different meds that you have to take for.
Oh, tacrolimus, the tac levels, and
I'm afraid she'll have to take those the rest of her life.
Yeah.
So she's just figuring all that out. I mean, she didn't get her. She went 5 different times, I think it was, until she got her kidney. The first 2 times because she wasn't vaccinated, they wouldn't let her have it, and then I think there was two that wound up being bad, and then she finally got it on the 5th time.
Now is she out in California too?
No, she's actually in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And when she started on dialysis, she was in Pennsylvania. She was in Reading, Pennsylvania.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Know where that's at. They're neighbors.
Yeah, she seems real positive though.
Yep.
She's definitely strong woman. She does her thing, and she definitely is an advocate for others. I mean, she's got a nursing degree, and then she became a social worker, so she's very much an advocate for others.
Right.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's tough. God bless her. I mean,
we interviewed her post transplant as well.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
We'll be putting that up next. We're just trying to figure out a couple of logistical things because some of the stuff that I've been putting up, we wanted to change the quality of it and stuff like that. So we're just figuring that out. But yeah, you'll be seeing that come up here pretty soon as well.
Yeah.
Along with you guys' video as well too. So
yeah. So as we close, I'd love to ask Mr. Butler if you had something to say to folks that are on dialysis or headed towards dialysis. Like, do you have a nugget or some nuggets that you can just leave people with?
Well, it's
Educate yourself.
yeah, just educate yourself on dialysis, especially foods. Watch the foods that you eat, and of course, what you consume in fluids, and hopefully that the techs and the nurses that where you receive this care are as good as the techs that I had at DeVita in North Ohio.
Right.
And especially Maurice Carlisle.
Maurice Carlisle.
Carlisle, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, that's fine.
I'd love to be Maurice Carlisle.
They know who you mean.
that dude can still run. He's probably 40 years old now.
Yeah, he probably is.
I'm sorry.
I have a picture with him, which is pretty
Oh,
funny.
did?
I had to put it up for this video. I got a picture with him, so I'm gonna put it up.
Maurice, I'm sorry.
Oh, don't even think
Didn't
about
mean
it.
no disrespect.
I already know what you meant. Well, it's so good reaching out to you, and we'll have to have lunch and everything. Since
I know I've been wanting to. This disease has been going around. Hopefully, it'll lighten up some more.
Yeah, we can get rid of these viruses and stuff.
But
Right on.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, that was another thing with the transplant that
Oh yeah.
COVID made it twice as hard for me, and everyone else
Put it
too
up.
that had a transplant during that time
Oh, with COVID.
with COVID.
Stop it.
Because you're not allowed to see anyone even after they release you from the hospital.
Yeah.
Got it.
No
That's tough.
friends, nothing.
Yeah.
Because his sister dealt with it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I'm sure your sister dealt with the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah. I mean, she was in and out of the hospital during COVID, just with complications from her. She had to go back on hemo at a point because her port got infected.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
So so they had to I think they totally took it out, and then she had to go on hemo for a bit until the new one healed. And then it wasn't much after that, maybe 6 months, I don't know the timeline, but that she got her transplant. So
yeah.
but it doesn't matter that you're almost there. It's like you have to take care of
Right.
what's happening in
Right.
the moment. So
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
What do you think? I mean, leading cause of kidney failure is, I mean, ethnicity, hypertension. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, dialysis is kidney failure usually is blood pressure or diabetes or both.
yeah,
And they just, from what I've seen in my career, they just keep changing positions. So,
right,
4 years from now, it could be diabetes. 4 years after that, it could be high blood pressure. But they are 1 and 2 consistently
right,
since I've been a technician.
yeah,
So those are the two leading causes, and those are issues that don't show up until they do. I mean, most people don't know they have high blood pressure until they get sick. Most people don't know they have diabetes until they get sick.
yeah,
So all the stuff leading up to that, it's like the silent killer. It's that silent issue that nobody really knows about.
well, it's mostly diet, right? I mean, it's like
Yes,
if
it's
you look
yeah,
diet related, and
just
I'll just speak to my sweetheart here. She was diagnosed with diabetes by just going in for a checkup, and she
hmm
goes every year for a checkup. This particular year, she goes in. They say you got diabetes. They put her on a bunch of medication. Her family doctor did. I think pretty much the maximum dose of what she should be taking. I didn't know why he did that, but she eventually decided that she didn't want to take all those meds, and she went to a keto diet. And she asked her doctor to see an endocrinologist, which is a specialist for diabetes. Her doctor questioned it, and so she kind of got in his face and said, "Hey, that's the specialist. You didn't go to school to be a specialist. You didn't take those
right,
extra 6 years to just treat diabetes patients." He
right,
Right.
gave her a little bit more pushback, and she said, "I need that referral." He referred her to a endocrinologist, and lo and behold, she was taking off every one of those medications. And
Wow.
just
now she is no longer diabetic.
follows because she follows a low glycemic index.
That's right. So
Yeah,
we're basically eating sugary foods and then trying to cover them with medication.
right,
Um, and so I'm going to get her on here at some point, Ira, and we're going to interview her and talk to her about that because I think it can be very helpful to other diabetic patients who are on dialysis.
Mhm.
But she actually does not have a designation anymore of diabetes. Her chart
yeah,
doesn't. Her chart doesn't say that she's diabetic anymore. That is huge because it was all diet and exercise.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
all she did. She bought a Peloton and she went on a keto diet,
yeah.
and that was
And
Well,
it.
fresh
it's
food.
all they all make a definitive diagnosis with just lab work too,
Yes,
and
yes,
they never ever take a look at the patient.
yes.
And
It's
even in dialysis, you
yeah,
know, doctors in and out once a week. That's
yes.
it.
If that, if that,
And
they only need to see you once a month.
right,
Right.
And
Yeah,
seeing you can be look at your chart. It
right,
doesn't have to physically be laying eyes on you.
right,
absolutely.
And
Because I've
so,
had to holler at the kidney doctor at DaVita before, like
hmm
you say, wasn't once a week, is once a month you might see him go through,
yeah, yep,
you
that's
know,
it.
and then you had to, get his attention, to come over to you,
Yes,
or he
yes.
was just going to walk by and wave.
Yeah,
If you
I
get that.
remember. I remember telling you. I said he's here. I said,
Yes.
so now when he comes over here,
Yeah.
you tell
Throw a
him.
piece of paper at him.
Yeah, like I'm
Absolutely.
telling Mr. Butler. I said, hey, he's here. Now you get him over here.
Yes.
You tell him you don't need to run 3 days a week. And
Right.
boy, I mean, and I remember when he left you, he went over to the nurse's station, and one of the girls said, hey, Maurice is telling him that stuff.
Oh
I'll
my
never
God.
forget it. I'll never forget it. And it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. And he's looking at me like, and I never spoke to him after that.
I don't
After
believe
that interaction with you,
it.
he never spoke to me anymore. We just never, we spoke. I think we said hi and bye or whatever, but we never had any kind of a conversation. I remember him asking me one time too. He said, I was taking care of a patient, and I told him exactly what I was doing. And later, that patient went in the hospital, and the family members went to see their mom, and they said that she had too much fluid in her, like she had fluid in her lungs. And so they asked the doctor. They said, "Well, is Mo trying to kill our mom?" And and I
No.
don't know what his specific answer was, but I don't think it was good, because later he came to me in the center. And he pulled me to the side. He said, "You can't tell patients what you're doing." And I said, "Excuse me, sir,
What?
what'd you say?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "You can't be telling patients what you're doing. You told that lady you gave her 200 cc's of fluid, and then she ended up going in the hospital that weekend." I said, "Sir, her blood pressure was 84 when I gave her that 200 cc's of fluid." I said, "I did exactly what I was supposed to do." And he said,
Yeah.
"Well, don't tell them what you're doing." And I said, "Sir, I can't do that." And so we
Yeah,
we
there's
we
no
agreed
way
to
she'd have been.
disagree. Yeah, we agreed to disagree, but those are some of the things that you run into when you're a technician. If you're not a strong technician, you're going to get ran right over. It's like being bullied at high school. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? That kid's going to keep beating you up until you put up your fist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't say something, you're going to keep getting bullied.
Mo,
So
I just realized something. If it wasn't for you, uh, I would not got a transplant as soon as I had it, because I feel that DeVito wanted me the hell out of there because of the education that you gave me.
yes, they ran me off and you. It's good that they gave you a kidney before they ran you off. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they
Put him
ran
at
us
the top
off
of the
just to
list.
say, yeah, get him out of here, man. He's telling people too much.
Right.
they had to weigh their options on that
Yes,
one.
they had to weigh their options on that. They say, just get him a kidney, man. Get him out of our way.
Right.
Well, good.
That's
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
yes.
Well, it's so good talking with you. We won't take any more of you guys' time, but thank you so much for your
Well, I
time.
can't wait to see you and actually shake your hand and
Well,
give you a hug.
absolutely. And we'll do that soon.
Yes,
We'll do that
absolutely.
soon. We'll set
Hey,
that up.
Betty Davis told me to tell you hi.
Oh, cool. That's
I,
awesome. That's
yeah, I
awesome.
take
Yes.
yeah, I take care of her now.
Well,
We're
good.
yeah,
Good. Well, good,
but
man. You tell her I said hello.
yeah, it was I mean my pleasure to even be able to speak with you.
Yes, you
Uh,
too,
It's
man.
my
thanks a lot
pleasure,
for
Omar.
everything
Thank
you
you
do.
so much. Yes,
You
thank
Thank
you.
know,
you.
Thank you.
Just keep, we'll all collectively, like now we're like just building the team of people that are just being advocates and just inspiring people to be advocates for themselves. And so, just keep spreading the word, and Mr. Butler, just keep being strong and being that guy that won't take crap from anybody.
That's right. That's right. That's
And
right.
one person at a time, we're going to make change. So
Yep.
it's happening, and
Gonna
so
happen.
thank you for being here. Thank you for the patience in the process of getting on here, and we hope to have this conversation again, because the issues aren't going away soon, and
No.
you're part of the team, and people will start to know who you are. You'll become a
Yes.
WVD celebrity.
Right.
And,
Right.
we'll keep
Absolutely.
on rolling.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. Thanks both of you so much. Appreciate it. Mo,
Yes.
it's been so great seeing you again
Yes. Great seeing you.
and great talking to you.
Yep. I'll see you soon.
I hope so.
All right.
I still have a lot more I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
All right,
Well,
we'll do
we'll
it.
get to it. We'll get to it.
all right.
Okay.
Well, you guys
Hey,
take care.
Foreman. Hey,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
folks. So this is going to be the end of this episode of What's the Deal with Dialysis. with Mr. Jeffrey Butler and his son Jerry, and Maurice Carlisle and myself. We're just going to say goodbye. Have a wonderful day. Take
Have a
care of
great day.
yourself and take care of your loved ones. And peace, love, positivity to everyone.
Yes. Yes. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, man.